All right, and we're live. Today is Monday, 9:32. Sorry, 2 minutes late today. This is the Ask Me Anything. It's the secrets. We have a new title to this. It's pretty cool. It's the Google Ads Secrets Weekly Live Q&A to scale your business. No one liked my previous title of Ask Me Anything, so I guess that's what we're doing now. Give you a little bit of a shorter one today. Got a hard stop at 10 o'clock, which is going to give us about a little less than 30 minutes. But yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting because we actually have a new beta that we're testing called Performance Max, and it's really cool and a little bit odd at the same time. We're using the YouTube lead forms, and what's interesting, hello, evidence-based improvement. That's Renee. Hey, Renee. We're using Performance Max, and we're using the YouTube lead forms, and we've just been getting like 3 to 5 leads a day off of Performance Max, the new beta. But I'm going to keep you all updated because the Performance Max, the YouTube lead forms is actually, I think, generating some possible junk traffic. We tried this before, and we got like, a bunch of leads, like 20, 30 leads a day, but there were just, kind of like Facebook lead ads where you get a lot of opt-ins, but they're not as high quality as you would hope. So I'm going to be turning those off today just because we had pretty much over the weekend tons of leads come in, but it doesn't look to be as good quality as of just yet. But I'll keep you all updated about how that goes. It's going to be pretty interesting. I think Performance Max could be pretty big. It's like smart shopping, but for lead generation. It goes everywhere, which is pretty cool. Shahid, hello. Hi, John. Got a huge amount of SKUs. What sort of budget do you recommend a minimum? Appreciate the yeah, huge amount of SKUs. I mean, I'm thinking maybe a few thousand. What's interesting is there's a good budget and a really good budget. A really good budget would be 1,000 to 2,000 per day. Would be enough, I think, to get the majority of those SKUs to have activity. The issue is when you have, let's say, $100 a day and you have like 5,000 SKUs, you're going to max out that budget on maybe 40, 50 SKUs. And you might just max out your budget on those 40, 50 SKUs and have good performance for a long time. But the other SKUs just never have a chance to run because Google says, well, I have $100 a day, I have 50 SKUs that I can spend that whole money on and make really good results. So that's what it does. So what you need to do is raise your budgets enough to not only max out those 50 SKUs, but max out the first 1,000, the first 2,000. Think about like how much money you can spend on those quality items that are having good sales. And you need to spend more than what Google knows it can sell in order for it to reallocate the leftover budget to new products. So that's how that works. So if you have, this much money, you're going to go this much SKUs, this much money, you have this much SKUs. So each time that you raise your budget, you're going to find it's going to actually start to allocate the ad spend to more SKUs. And when you allocate the ad spend to more SKUs, that's when you get to have the activity come in. So I'm going to be a little bit faster today because I only have 25 minutes left as I have a hard stop at 10. So I'm going to kind of move through those quickly, but Ashid, let me know if that works for you. Alejandro, hey, Alejandro, are there times when maximized clicks outperform other bidding strategies? Every time I try max conversions, my CPC triples and thus I get less clicks and more leads overall. So yes, maximized clicks can outperform other bidding strategies when you know your keywords. If you have phrase match, exact match that you know really work, you can use maximized clicks. However, with lead with lead generation campaigns, maximized clicks is going to favor a lower position. And especially with lead generation campaigns, it gets a little more tough because what we normally see is lead quality suffers. You do get more leads, but they're actually less quality leads because if you're number 4 in the position, it means that they have looked at and could not work with the first 3 competitors, and then they found you. And if they convert on you, it means that they might have also converted on the first 3, and the first 3 couldn't work with them, couldn't help them. And the odds of you being able to help them might be low. So maximized conversions does shoot up your CPCs and does increase your cost per conversion just because it's a competitive ecosystem. So if other people are really bidding high and you're not bidding high, you have to hopefully scoop up the leads that are fit for you and your business, but weren't a fit for your competitors. And if that is the case, I don't know, it's industry and unique selling proposition, unique value proposition specific, but it is going to be somewhat difficult to generate quality leads further down the page. So hopefully that helps. But it does for motivated seller leads. Which campaigns would you recommend? What bidding strategies were most leads for completion or phone calls? Oh, for the motivated seller, we actually used Target CPA just because we went nationwide, and we had there's areas of pockets of areas, I should say, in the United States that are very low competition. So what we found is that when using Target CPA, we could generate a lot of fairly decent quality, low cost leads, because it's like, hey, this person in, this obscure area in northern New York, like by, like 20 minutes east of Buffalo, there's no competition. And so the person that was there, we were able to scoop up those leads for like $25. However, if you're talking about small geographies of high competition, high population, maximized conversions work better because it would bid high. We're talking 40, 80, sometimes $110 a click. And we had about 25 and 30% conversion rates. And so the leads were $300, but that's because we were paying $100 a click. So low competition, really broad geography, Target CPA worked good. High competition, small geography, and high demand, meaning like a lot of other competitors, and low supply. That means a lot less searches. Maximize conversions work better because we had to bid aggressive. Any ad grant tips? Yeah, so ad grant tips, I would say, because you're stuck to using only I think it was like $2. I think it was your max CPC, or $4 was max CPC. If you turn on maximize conversions, it will actually shoot above the limited CPC that Google sets you to. So Google's like, hey, when you're using manual, you can't go over $4 a click. But if you turn on max conversions, it'll go up to like 8, 10, 12. And another thing that I would say is keep your keywords a little bit more broad, but also run a brand campaign. You need overall click-through rate higher than, I think, 3%. I'm using probably the wrong metrics just because I forgot. I haven't run a grant ad campaign in a long time. But because because your overall account has to have a higher click-through rate than normal, that's like 3-4%. Run a brand campaign. If you have a good brand recognition, that will shoot up your click-through rate to like 15%, and then use a broad campaign or something that you can actually bid a little bit more traffic that you want. That might be like 1 to 2% click-through rate, and this way your brand campaign artificially raises your click-through rate, and your other broad campaign that actually has low click-through rate will even out to a good click-through rate. So those are 2 tips that I would say try those. Simon, hi John, recent sub, glad to catch you live. Yeah, you customer awesome. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate it. Thanks for the awesome kudos. I appreciate that. I'm gonna mispronounce your name. I'm guessing it's Shihat. I'm not sure exactly. Hi John, have you guys managed any NGO accounts, Google Ad Grant? What are the top 5 tips you could give in terms of campaign structure, meta types, and strategy? So I actually just gave 2 tips. Use maximize conversions. That'll go up above your max CPC limit that Google sends, because it'll do it automatically for you. Really weird that it'll break its own rules, so that's cool. Run a brand campaign. It'll artificially raise that click-through rate. Yes, $2, click-through rate 5%. Yeah, exactly. So run a brand campaign that will get your click-through rate high, and then you can use the other amount of money on your broad campaigns that are going to be coming in at like 1, 2, and 3% click-through rate. So that's a good way to keep your account in good viability. Other than that, there's not many 2 other tips. It's just kind of getting around circumventing those systems. When you use maximize conversions, it will go above that $2 click CPC. I don't know why it does that, but I'll just let that happen. So those are the only 2 things that I think is like really important. Everything else is pretty much standard. You can't run e-commerce campaigns, unfortunately, so that kind of stinks. If you wanted to run an e-commerce campaign as well, if you have a grant, run 2 different accounts. It's technically a violation of Google's policy, but as long as you're not on the same networks, which means running smart shopping under one that you're paying for by out of your own pocket, and then you're running the grant out of all the other ones like the search and display and everything, you can get around potentially. You can get around those circumventing policy issues, but just use at your own risk, because it's technically a violation of Google's policy, but you won't normally get caught if you're running them on separate channels. There we go. Felipe, hello, Felipe. Hey, what's the UTM type you use for high-level clients? Like, what is UTM source medium? So that's actually, we have another gentleman named Ivan, and if Ivan's on, he's actually been a ninja at the UTMs for high level specifically. I'll see if we can do a video about that, because I think that's going to be helpful. I wasn't actually involved in it. I was just kind of letting know, like, hey, this is the UTMs to run. My business partner, Qasim, which you guys all know Qasim, he runs the high-level accounts for a different business that we own, where we use high-level exclusively. And Yvonne was the one that set up the UTM. So I'll see if we can get the I'll see if we can get that video shot for that, because I think that might be helpful for you. Evidence-based is nice. Thanks. You're welcome. Simon, if you have a new campaign with little to no conversion data, how would you set your manual CPC bids, and what metrics would you use to adjust those bids to optimize? So for new campaign with little to no conversions, when you use manual CPC, after some time, I don't exactly have a specific time because Google doesn't. It just happens when it happens. But there's actually 3 columns you can add: estimated first page bid, estimated top page bid, estimated absolute top page bid. And you actually can pull up those 3 columns, and it'll tell you what you need to bid only when you're running manual. If you're running another automated bidding strategy, it will not give it to you. They'll just be blank. When you run manual, try it for at least like 3 days or a week. I've had it as long as like 2 weeks. One time, I'm actually going through it now. I had it for about 28 days. I still don't have those metrics yet. It needs to take some time to learn. But when you have those 3 columns, estimated first page bid, top of page bid, and absolute top of page bid, you can actually see what you'll need to bid in order to get the placement with those 3 columns. It's in competitive metrics, I believe, either competitive metrics or attributes. I think competitive metrics. But inside of competitive metrics, you can have those numbers. Here's a pro tip. If you see that the absolute top page bid is coming in at 10 and top page bid is coming in at 2, bid $2.10. What they'll normally get you is right below the first position. You don't bid up to like 9, just bid a little bit higher than the top page bid, and you'll fall in between about 2, 2, and 3, which is a really sweet spot in Google. Don't pay 5 times more per click to get number 1 unless you know that keyword is gold. But bid a little bit higher than the absolute, or a little bit higher than the top of the page, and a lot lower than the absolute top, and you'll get a good second, third position. So that would be my tip, is to use those 3 columns and then place your bids accordingly. Then when the results come in, obviously being more aggressive to the quality keywords and get more placement and more visibility. But that's a good tip there. Extensions are allowed with ad grants, right? Yes. Yeah. Gio, you can use extensions. Again, I haven't ran them though. I haven't ran one in probably about a year. So when I was running them a year ago, yes. But if something's changed, I haven't actually ran a grant campaign in that long, just because typically we're kind of an expensive agency. And so Google Ads grant clients usually can't afford us, because the way that we price our pricing is a base fee plus ad spend. So it's $1,500 a month plus 10% of the ad spend. So they end up paying us $2,500. And a lot of grants can't afford that, because obviously they're not very profitable. They're more not for profit. That's why they have the grants. So we don't run a lot just because of that reason. Michael Johnson, we're most motivated to sell leads from lead forms or phone calls. Actually, sorry, I forgot to answer that. It was mostly lead forms, but not because of the structure. We listen to every single phone call that comes in on the campaigns. What ended up happening is, because we had like 30 or 40 clients when we were doing this, the clients didn't answer their phones very often. They paid $300 lead, wouldn't answer their phone. I don't know why. It just, too busy to take a call apparently. So what ended up happening is I actually had to start removing the call extensions on most client accounts, because they wouldn't answer the phone. Phone calls would come in probably at a rate of 70% to the form fills. So for every 10 form fills, we'd have 7 phone calls. I only can count a lead if we hear the phone call, listen to it, determine that as a quality lead, and then import that lead as a quality lead inside of Google Ads. We didn't do duration. So it's not like if a call lasted over 60 seconds, we would count it. No, it has to be manually reviewed and approved by someone on my staff before we can count it as a quality lead. So if they didn't answer their phone call, we would artificially have a higher conversion cost and less leads, because those 7 phone calls that came in, maybe they answered 1 and I had 6 leads I couldn't count as leads because they didn't leave a message and no one answered the phone. So my cost per lead would be high. So for that, I had to try to purposely push away phone calls and for us to have a good cost per lead, and for them to actually not say like, no, I didn't receive a phone call. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, we had the recording here and it got into a compatible relationship. So it just says I'm just not sending the phone calls. So we put the phone number at the footer. We remove the call extensions and just try to generate the leads that we can actually say like, hey, this landed in your CRM. What are you doing with it? But That would be about a 70% rate, I would say. Every 10 form fills, we'd get 7 phone calls. Felipe, cool. Could you drop the link here? Well, when we do, I think we have to shoot the video, Felipe. So I think that's going to be what we're gonna. I think we'll have to get that video shot. If Yvonne, if you're watching, if you do have the UTM, you can drop it here. If not, we'll circle back. Let's see, Simon. Thanks, John Phillips. You're welcome, Simon. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one, so I'm going to try it though anyway. Jaya Rajan. Eh? It's kind of fun for me. Just see if I can pronounce everyone's name. Let's see. It says how to scale a Google UAC campaign. So a UAC campaign. Let's see what you're talking about here. Oh, app campaigns. So what I found that if I got it right, hey, I actually, as funny as we only ran one app campaign before. Unfortunately, we only get the clients that have the items that we can market. So, I mean, we really haven't had, we had one client that actually had an app promotion campaign that he wanted us to run. And we just haven't had any clients that want to run app. But I could say the one thing that worked is in the app promotion campaigns, we used a target CPA, and we did it kind of like the normal target CPA mantra: start high and then work your way down. What we found is that if you start your app campaign at $10, it gets very little traction. But if you start it high, get more data and get more consistent conversions, then you can reduce it down. We did that down to $2 CPA. We started at, I think, like $25 or $30 target CPA. We got like $12 and $15 and $30 conversions, and I guess cost per install. And then we just started gradually reducing it down. I mean, fairly slowly. This client had actually a very large ad spend, and it wasn't the only campaign that we were running. So we're able to waste some money, I guess, getting more data into the app campaign. And then we got that thing down to $2 installs. And then $2 installs is where we had to just keep it for a while. And then it turned out that people that downloaded the app weren't using it, so we just killed it anyway. But I would say that a way to scale that, because there's not a whole lot of control there, is use target CPA and let it run wide open. I mean, for a while. And then when you're at 20 conversions per week, then you can start dropping it fairly quickly. I hope that helps. I won't have one instance just because, again, we only run the campaigns client want, and not a lot of clients come to us with app install campaigns, unfortunately. Let's see. Diraj, how to create new Google Ads account without getting suspended again. What's the thing? Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that's, yeah, it's like 1 out of every 10 gets suspended. What is the thing to keep in mind when creating a new AdWords account without getting suspended again? So, honestly, what is good according to you for creating a Google Ads account without getting suspended? RDP, Server Cafe, different PCs, proxy VPN. So, unfortunately, if you start a new Google Ads account and it gets suspended, you cannot create a new Google Ads account. Same with Google Merchant Center. If it gets suspended and you try to create another subsequent account and you're not an MCC, if you're not an MCC, Google will automatically suspend every subsequent account you make because it thinks you're trying to circumvent policies, which means, well, you did it wrong and you're just trying to trick us again. So we're just going to automatically suspend every single account afterwards. The only thing that I've seen actually work in like VPNs, proxies, is a new computer, a new phone, a new internet connection, and move. And I'm not joking. We had a client do that. We had a client physically move from one house to a different house with a new laptop, new cell phone, and he monitors campaigns from a screen share. I had to pull up his campaign, and then he hopped on a screen share, and I said, here, look, this is how you can see what your campaign's doing, because he couldn't log in. It would just immediately suspend the account. So I would say that there's really no way to circumvent that. Google will blueprint your devices. It knows the manufacturer of your graphics card. Like, it knows everything about you, more than you would ever possibly imagine. So the only way that I've seen, if you wanted to start a new one after one's been suspended, is you have to wipe everything. You have to basically become like a new person, new credit card, new cell phone, new internet connection, new laptop, new IP address, new ISP. You have to physically look like a different person to Google, if that helps. But the easier way to possibly do that is just to go fix the first account and get whatever it is, issues, unsuspended there. I don't know what it is, but once that's unsuspended, then you're allowed to create new accounts. Does changing target ROAS or turning off on ROAS targets affect smart shopping campaigns? Oh, yeah, that's huge. So it's when you're running a smart shopping campaign, don't run a target ROAS for at least 90 days. What target ROAS does is when you look at your product list, and let's say you have 100 products and 10 products have a cost or a conversion, the conversion value by cost. So like the ROAS of like 2.5 and above. So if you have like 2.5, 2.7, 3.1, 3.6, whatever it is, the conversion value by cost is higher than 2.5. For 10 products out of 100, the rest have under 2.5. If you set a 250% ROAS goal, what you tell Google is don't spend any money on any product below 2.5. It'll only spend the money on the products above 2.5. But the longer that you let a campaign run, with wide open without a ROAS, it will test more and more products. And if you have, let's say, 75 out of the 100 that are pretty decent and you set a good ROAS goal, you will at like 2.2 and you have like 80% of your products have 2.2 and above, it will only spend the money on those 80 products. But what's nice is now you're at a higher scale. So what I've seen people do is they start with a target ROAS of like 400% and they find 3 products that can get 400% and above, and nothing runs or nothing else runs. Just those 3 products are just stuck in forever. As long as that ROAS goal is on, you're telling Google don't spend any money on products that are below that ROAS goal. And if it says, well, I can't spend a dime because I don't know if it'll convert, so just don't spend any money on those. It'll just stop. So the ROAS goal will basically just lock in whatever products are having good performance and spend the full amount of money on those products. That's how target ROAS works. Yeah, Felipe, I don't have the UTM template. I gonna have to get that. So as soon as I have that, maybe next week on my live, I'll be able to post it in there, but I don't have it right now. I'll see if I can get it though. I'll have to reach out to another member of our staff and get that for you, Felipe. I just don't have it right now. I'm not the one that did it. It was Yvonne that did that. So I'll see if I can get it. I just don't have it right now. I'll have to go grab that for you, Felipe. Mahir, which is better, starting smart campaigns? Oh yeah, so that would be the option is don't turn on a ROAS goal for 90 days, and you'll see that all of your products will start to get. No, thanks, Felipe. I'll get that for you as soon as I can. So yeah, just don't start a campaign with a ROAS goal, and don't use a ROAS goal for at least 90 days. The longer you wait, the better it is going to be when you instill a ROAS goal, because you have a lot of products that if you're spending $200 a day on and you're getting decent performance, as soon as you turn that ROAS goal on, you're going to probably like 150-ish, and then you're going to get that ROAS. So you can't actually get the ROAS you want until Google sees where it can get it. Google can't see where it gets it when you start with the ROAS goal. You have to run it wide open, essentially. Cyber Cafe is a good option. I don't actually have any experience with Cyber Cafe. We do a quick little search. Cyber Cafe. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, would you go to a site? Yeah, I mean, if you needed to, it can't use the same credit card though, and then you can't send it to the same website that you got suspended on. So if you like are trying to get an ad account approved for a website, if you were to start a new Google Ads campaign, regardless of where you started, and then point it to that same URL, they're just going to suspend it again. So you can run another Google Ads account if you went to a Cyber Cafe. I thought Cyber Cafe was a company, but if you went to a Cyber Cafe and started a new Google Ads account to a brand new website with a different credit card that you used before, because they'll still track your credit card, that will work. Unless the Cyber Cafe, someone else had that idea and got suspended. The Cyber Cafe was just going to get suspended as well. But you can't use anything. No, not the same analytics account, tag account, search console, tag manager, nothing. Merchant center, everything has to be kind of brand new. You have to look like a new person, and you can't send it to anything old. Otherwise, they're just going to resuspend. How to target owners and managers with Google Audience, restaurant chain owners, managers. So it's extremely difficult. The one way that I actually saw some movement in this, it wasn't very successful, but 33 Big Money, the one way that we actually found it is using the custom audiences and then using the search for these terms on Google and then say restaurant cleaning company. If someone's going to Google restaurant cleaning company, they're probably a decision maker at a restaurant. Restaurant what was it? I think it was like restaurant hire, like a hire for restaurant, like hire servers for restaurant. We targeted what the restaurant owners may be Googling, and then we use that to target them with outbound campaigns. Again, display's not very good though at getting really good, inexpensive, high quality conversions quickly. We just didn't have the budget to test it. I did see movement there. They did have good time on site, pages per session, session duration, that kind of stuff. They had some good activity on the website, and all I did was just target essentially a DSK, but in a custom audience of what a restaurant would Google if you're a restaurant decision maker, like how to hire people, cleaning crews, like restaurant, I think like painters and like that kind of stuff. So it was actually kind of interesting, but that's the way that I would do it. You have to kind of think outside the box, but it does work a little bit. We just didn't have a long enough time to test it. Is the analogy of that giving the campaign a ROAS akin to putting on training wheels for the campaign accurate? No, it's kind of, I'll just see your second part. Isn't it possible to start with a ROAS in a brand new campaign and achieve a desired ROAS and then scale the budget? I have not been able to do it. And I've probably spent about $500,000 a month in e-commerce campaigns on Smart Shopping. It's possible. It is possible. The only way it is possible is if you immediately start off with products that a lot of people want, and Google knows them about the people that want. It understands your products perfectly. Your feed is perfect. Your titles, your descriptions on your feed quality is excellent. And there's enough people that you could say, hey, as soon as I'll give you an example. We have a hammock company, and what ended up happening is if you do not put a ROAS goal and it scales, it doesn't matter if you put a ROAS goal. Here's what a ROAS goal does, is it says don't spend the money on less performing items. But if you're not running a ROAS goal, you don't need one. It will scale to the moon and get a perfect ROAS without a ROAS goal. Unless that's the case, you can't restrict Google to say only spend the money on these products and then scale really, really high. Because what you're doing is you're limiting Google to only knowing the audience it knows. So again, you can try it. I've never had success with it. I've never had where I didn't run a ROAS goal and the campaign was not successful, and then turning on a ROAS goal and it scaled. Whenever you turn on a ROAS goal on, you'll always reduce unless you have just a massive amount of success in which you do not turn on a ROAS goal. If you're achieving a maximum amount of success, it's not going to do any good. It's just going to restrict that success. So a ROAS goal is akin to taking a bicycle and pointing it in one direction and shooting it that way as fast as possible. It means, hey, we know the products that are going to sell. We got to keep that there. Here's $10,000 a day with a ROAS goal of 400%. Give me whatever you can. Go as fast as you possibly can. And I'll give you an example. You can set, if you have a ROAS goal of 400%, you can set your daily ad spend to $1 million. You can do that now. You'd be completely safe. Set your campaign ad spend to $1 million a day. Put a 400% ROAS goal, and then turn it on, and you'll see it might spend $60 because that's the only thing it can do. I'm so sorry, everyone. I have a call that's starting now at 10 o'clock. I really appreciate it. I had a little bit of a shorter time today. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next week on Monday.